All right, relatives. So, if and when TikTok goes away, I am on YouTube. That's the one that I'm really going to work on building out. I'm on Facebook and Instagram too under Veronica Lightning Horse. I did sign up for the Red Note. Um, I only have a couple videos up there, but I am going to see what I can do on working on that platform. So, I really do hope to see you there, especially those of you that are sharing these stories. I've been getting some comments and some reports back of how far they're getting and the good that they're doing. And I'm so grateful for that, to be able to be a part of the chain of history. And you are too when you share. So please share to keep these stories alive. So once long ago, there was an old master. And he would go to different towns. And he would sit in the temple. His disciples would be there with him and he would teach. And an assembly would gather. And usually, by the time he'd been there for a few days, the assembly would start getting pretty big. In this particular town, there was a businessman, and he had 3 sons. And he found that his sons were missing one day, but they came back to work in the afternoon, so he didn't say anything. The next day, they were gone again. He wondered where he went. He still didn't say anything. They were hard-working boys. But then there was a day where they were gone the entire day. So he asked, "Oh, well, we're going to the assembly to hear the master speak." And so the next day he followed them to the temple. And he sees this monk person looking guy sitting there just with his eyes closed. And there's all these people sitting there. They're all sitting there with their eyes closed too. Oh, and he was pissed. He's got a business to run. He needs his son. These people need to be focusing on living, working, providing for their families. What are they doing just sitting here listening to this guy or just sitting there with their eyes closed, being quiet? It was freaking ridiculous. So the next day he told his sons, like, that's enough. I don't want you going back there. Like, you need to work. This is what's important. Whatever it is you're doing over there, like, enough is enough. And so the sons worked for part of the day, and as soon as they could, they went back to the temple. When the businessman found out that his sons were gone again, oh, rage just flooded through him. He marched himself down to that temple, marched himself right up to the master. He was so angry, he couldn't even find words to express it. So he just spat in the master's face. Oh, the disciples, everybody in the assembly were just, and then they were offended. People began to get up. They have to do something. This man just insulted the master, and like in that way too? Oh my God. But the master wipes the spit from his face and just looks at the man and smiles. The man began to get confused and a little awkward. But as the master just continued to smile at him, saying nothing, that awkwardness turned into embarrassment as he realizes there is an entire room full of people that just witnessed this and were staring at him. So he hurriedly left and he went home. But as he lay in bed that night, he tossed and turned and tossed and turned, sweating, fearful, humiliated, angry, scared, changing. His whole worldview had been turned upside down. When he got up the next day, he was calm. And he felt very differently. So he took himself back to the temple. And he threw himself at the master's feet. "Master, I am so sorry. Please forgive me." And the master looks at him and says, "I cannot forgive you." Once again, everybody in the audience and the disciples, now they're confused. "But Master, you're always going on and on about the need for forgiveness and letting go. How are you not going to forgive this man?" And the master smiled again. I cannot forgive you because you did nothing to me to forgive. Oh, the man was so ashamed. Master, I was the man that came in here yesterday and spat in your face. The master looks at him. I don't see that man here. In fact, the man that was here yesterday that was spat upon, he isn't here either. But if I see him, I will tell him to make sure he forgave that man that spat on him. You know, I really never fully understood all the components of this story until last night, when I finally got to see from the Buddha's eyes fully. Because I understood the lesson, and that is how I wanted to be. I absolutely recognize that the person I am today, it's not the person that I was yesterday. It's not the person that I was years ago. I am a different version of myself. And the same thing with people that might have offended me. They are not the same person that they were. Finding compassion, understanding, also offering forgiveness to myself for being offended, to them for being offensive, and then the third part of that circle, which is to encourage them to forgive themselves for true and full completeness. But it was always hard for me because me, especially being a community leader, if somebody was to do that to me, I would feel like I had to do something. Because what if people lost respect for me? I'm allowing myself to be abused. What lesson am I teaching on? That it's okay to allow somebody to abuse you? But at the same time, I wanted to be like the master. I wanted to not take offense. I wanted to be able to really respond from a place of love and understanding. And last night, it finally hit me to really see through the master's eyes of, my God, the pain and fear someone must be in to do such a thing. What motivates a person? Fear rules and has ruled mankind for so long. Fear of loss, fear of pain, fear of being humiliated, to the point that that fear shapes their reality. We aren't seeing the love inside of somebody, the desire for love. Every single person on this planet wants to be loved, and those people that say that they could live without it, my God, the hurt. What kind of hurt must someone have lived through to wall themselves off from love? What kind of pain lies buried in someone that would cause them to need to isolate because so great is the fear of being hurt again? No, I'm not going to live this way anymore. I'm not going to do it. I will sit and look at what must this person be going through, have gone through. What kind of programming do they have that would cause them to behave in the way that they're behaving? Because it's not the person, it's the belief system. All this conflict and separation in the world, they are systems of belief. And when somebody gets scared, that belief system snaps shut like a trap, and they will fight, they will lose, they will hurt and do harm. They will do everything they can to preserve that belief because they are so afraid of what it might mean if they are wrong. When we talk about forgiveness, it's got to be whole forgiveness. Purge that from our bodies. We can absolutely be the master, because the students didn't leave him because he allowed the man to abuse him. No, instead, they saw a master Have compassion and understanding for someone who acted in pain. And not only that, they witnessed the man go through a change and come back the next day seeking forgiveness, letting go. That man's life changed because of the response from the teacher. Pain will always beget pain until someone has the courage to end the cycle. I see that courage in you because you've listened this far in the video. I see that you are willing to let go of the pain. I see that you are at a point in your life where you are choosing to be done. Forgive yourself, then forgive the other. And then if you can find it within yourself to encourage them to forgive themselves, then you know you are coming from a healed place. Much love, relatives. Thank you for doing the work.